Welcome back to my channel. Today we're making some delicious, healthy chocolate bars. We're making Mars, we're making some caramel squares, and we're making cookies and cream. If you guys haven't seen the video where I make Snickers and Starburst and Twix and all that, I'm gonna leave all those recipes down below because you don't wanna miss those. And let's go ahead and make some delicious candy bars. Guys, they're so delicious, gooey. Oh, you're gonna love them. Let's get into it. So first off, we are making Mars bars. I'm starting off with dates, which have a really nice natural caramel flavor to them, and adding that into my food processor. I'm adding in some vanilla as well as some almond butter. And you can do any kind of nut or seed butter, though I would suggest either an almond butter or a cashew butter for more of a neutral flavor. If you do use a peanut butter, A, it won't be paleo, but B, it'll have more of a peanut flavor, which will be closer to a Snickers. Next, I'm adding in a pinch of Himalayan salt, and then I just blend that up until smooth. And this blender is kind of like a food processor and blender in one. It's from Ninja. I love it. It's fairly inexpensive as well. To make the nougat base, I'm adding in about a quarter cup of the caramel that we made, and I'm gonna add that to some almond flour. This is a great way to just make the base using something we already made, just a little bit of the caramel and then some almond flour. So I'm just gonna combine that until it is nice and chunky, and it kind of gets more sticky because we're going to be making the base. So then I just took a loaf pan and I lined that with parchment paper just to make it a lot easier to remove the bars after, because then you just have to lift up the parchment paper. So go ahead and either using your hand or using a spatula, go ahead and press down our mixture onto the base and make sure you get like a nice even layer. And the great thing about the loaf pan is you can cut this either into bars or to mini bars after too. And you can easily double or triple this recipe if you need to. So then I'm taking the caramel that we made and I'm putting that over the top of our base. And then you just need to smooth out the caramel layer on top of the nougat base with your spatula until it is nice and even. And then we are going to be chilling this in the freezer. I would suggest for about 4 or 5 hours or even overnight, just so that everything really solidifies and you're not going to lose anything in the chocolate. So once it's nice and hardened, I'm just slicing this up, and I'm gonna make mini bars, but you can definitely make full bars. The great thing about this though is that you don't need like a huge full bar. They're quite sweet, they're quite delicious and satisfying. So I'm basically making the twin size or like the Halloween size ones. So I sliced that up, and then I made some of my homemade paleo chocolate, which I will leave the recipe down below. It's simply cacao, coconut oil, and a touch of maple syrup. You can also just melt down some paleo chocolate chips. I like the Lily's brand or the Pacha brand, but if you can't get those, it's really easy to make your own chocolate at home. I've been making this for years and years and years, and it's really easy. And also the great thing is that when your bars are chilled, the chocolate is going to harden a lot quicker. It's set in the fridge for me in about 20 minutes. And these are your wonderfully delicious Mars bars full of a nougat and a nice caramel. Next up, we're making cookies and cream, and I'm so happy with how this turned out. So I'm using some cacao butter, which is actually normally what white chocolate is without the sugar. To that, I'm adding in some coconut butter and then melt that down and add some vanilla and maple syrup. You can also do this before it's fully melted. I just waited a bit. Once everything is nice and melted, just stir that together so that everything turns out nice and smooth. Then I'm taking some paleo Oreos from my Oreo video, which I will link down below in case you haven't seen it. You can also buy them. I have seen them, or I've seen gluten-free ones as well, but the recipe I do make at home is super simple, so I'm going to leave that down below. I add in the melted mixture. I'm putting a few cacao nibs on the top just for a little bit of crunch and extra chocolate flavor. I let that set in the freezer for about 20 minutes, and then you have it all ready to go. And you can definitely make this into a bark too. You don't have to make it into bars. So if you want to pour it out, make a thinner layer, or you can cut it into chunks. But honestly, this tastes so similar to cookies and cream. It's so delicious. I'm really, really happy with how this turned out, and I know you're gonna love it. And then we are making some caramel squares. So of course we have to make the caramel, which is really simple to make. It's just coconut sugar, coconut oil, and a little bit of vanilla. Stir that together a bit, and then I'm adding in a couple tablespoons of cashew butter. Again, you can use almond butter here. I would suggest either almond or cashew. They are a more neutral like tasting nut than as opposed to a peanut. Or you could also use a seed butter here. I would use sunflower seed over pumpkin seed. It's a little bit more neutral flavor. So if you need a nut-free version, you can definitely use a seed butter here. Or if you don't like either of those, coconut butter works as well. So just go ahead and stir that. Now, once it starts bubbling, set a timer for about 3 minutes, and you're gonna leave it about 3 minutes while it's bubbling and then take it off, and it's going to thicken. Where I'm putting that onto some parchment paper because we are going to harden this before we dip this in our chocolate. But honestly, this is such an easy caramel that you can use in many different recipes. So definitely save that. You can drizzle this on ice cream. You can use this on pretty much anything. It's a very standard caramel sauce. And then you're just going to spread it out so that it's about 1/4 inch thick. And then for rapid, I just put it in the freezer, but you can also chill it in the fridge until it gets nice and hard like this. And then I'm just using a knife to cut it into squares. And as you can see, it's got that really like almost taffy, thick caramel, like chewy caramel texture to it. So I'm cutting mine into little squares that we're going to be dipping into more of our paleo chocolate. So for each of them, I'm just dipping them inside, and then we're going to be laying that onto either a silicone mat, or you can just use more parchment paper. You will see the chocolate run a bit, especially with the paleo chocolate. So you can even do a double layer if you want, which means just put it down, let it harden, and then come back and do another layer. I find 1 layer is okay. And as long as you don't mind that it slightly slides off the caramels and they're not perfect, but you could definitely trim off the chocolate on the sides if you want them to be perfectly square, and then just save the extra chocolate you chop off for something else. And once you've covered them all, you just go ahead and let them sit for about 20 minutes in the fridge, and you have these wonderfully chocolate covered caramels. I mean, guys, look at how the caramel pulls, and it's no refined sugar, it's vegan, and it's so delicious. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you make them, don't forget to share them on Instagram and show me, because I love seeing all of your remakes. I hope you're all having a great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.